Television has a long history of adapting popular shows into new formats, and one of the most notable trends was turning live-action series into animated Saturday morning cartoons. During the golden age of Saturday morning programming, networks sought to capitalize on the success of hit TV shows by creating animated versions tailored for younger audiences. These cartoons often retain familiar characters, settings, and themes, but were reimagined with more kid-friendly humor, outlandish plots, and sometimes even supernatural or science fiction elements. From sitcoms and action dramas to classic franchises, these animated spin-offs provided a fresh take on beloved series while tapping into the vibrant world of Saturday morning entertainment. Building on this theme, we'll take a look at 10 live-action television shows that were reimagined into Saturday morning cartoons, whether it was a beloved sitcom, an action-packed adventure series, or even a sci-fi classic. These animated adaptations often took creative liberties to make the stories more appealing to younger audiences. Some stayed true to their original source material, while others introduced wacky sidekicks, futuristic gadgets, or even out-of-this-world storylines. Join us as we revisit 10 memorable shows that made the leap from live action to animation, bringing familiar characters into a whole new medium. Nanny and the Professor is a 1972 American animated comedy TV movie based on the sitcom by the same name. The series' original cast reprised their roles from the live-action series. Unlike in the television series, Nanny openly performs magic, while in the TV series, it was only implied. The film was broadcast on September 30th of 1972 as part of the ABC Saturday Superstar movie. A sequel followed the next year, Nanny and the Professor and the Phantom of the Circus, which also aired on the ABC Saturday Superstar movie on November 17th of 1973. Nanny and the Professor is an early 1970s American sitcom created by A.J. Carruthers and Thomas L. Miller for 20th Century Fox Television that aired on ABC from January 21st, 1970 until December 27th, 1971. During pre-production, the proposed title was Nanny Will Do. I never even heard of this television series. Playing upon the popularity of Mary Poppins and other magical nannies of literature, this TV series featured another ostensibly magical British nanny taking care of a family in need of guidance. Unlike the candid magicality of its forebears, this nanny's paranormal nature was less overt and only implied. That means they didn't have a lot of money for special effects. The nanny's young wards and the audience were left genuinely uncertain of the nature of Nanny's powers, if any. That means they didn't have a budget. The series starred Juliet Mills as Nanny Phoebe Figalilly, Richard Long as Professor Harold Everett, and in Season 3, Elsa Lanchester in the recurring role of Aunt Henrietta. Figalilly is the housekeeper for Professor Everett and nanny to his 3 children, Hale, the intellectual tinkerer, played by David Dormas, Butch, the middle child, played by Trent Lehman, and Prudence, the youngest, played by Kim Richards. Nanny is apparently psychic and has regular flashes of what is often more than intuition, accented by a musical tinkling sound effect. Tinkling? What, is someone peeing off stage? She frequently knows who is at the door before the doorbell even rings. There is the vague suggestion that she may be at least several hundred years old and more than human, which the children think they have discovered in an episode after they see a photo of Nanny's aunt taken a century earlier, who looks exactly like her. On outings, Nanny wears a navy blue Inverness cape and cap that resemble the deerstalker. The program's opening titles showed animations of both. Midway through the first season, Nanny and the kids restore a broken-down 1930 Model A Ford, which Nanny names Arabella. For some reason, the car's radio can only pick up radio broadcasts from 1930. The location of the series is never named. In 2 episodes, it is mentioned that Everett is a professor at the fictional Collier University. The series first aired as a mid-season replacement on January 21st of 1970 on ABC, with the final episode broadcast on December 27th of 1971. The series enjoyed initial success due to its Friday night time slot when it was scheduled between The Brady Bunch and The Partridge Family, which were shows aimed at similar demographics, largely young children and preteens. Ratings suffered in the 3rd season when ABC moved the series to Monday night opposite Gunsmoke and Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In. After the series was canceled, it was seen for a few years in syndication. It was also one of the first shows rerun on FX Network in 1994. The show was added to Get TV's lineup in May of 2016 for a short time. The show appeared briefly on Nick at Night. Never even freaking heard of it. Gidget is a fictional character created by author Frederick Connor, and that's based on his teenage daughter Kathy, and she premiered in his 1957 novel Gidget, the Little Girl with Big Ideas. The novel follows the adventures of a teenage girl and her surfing friends on the beach in Malibu. The name Gidget combines the words girl and midget. Following the novel's publication, the character appeared in several films, television series, and television movies. In 1965, the character of Gidget was adapted for television in the Screen Gems sitcom series Gidget, starring Sally Field. Don Porter, who had played Gidget's father in Gidget Goes to Rome, reprised the role for the show. The series reintroduced Laru, a timid, awkward girl who often accompanied Gidget on her zany escapades, and an older married sister, Ann Cooper, both of whom appeared in the original 1957 novel but were absent from the motion pictures. In 1969, Karen Valentine starred as Gidget in a telemovie Gidget Grows Up, freely adapted from the 1968 novel Gidget Goes to New York, but also functioning as a sequel to the 1965 sitcom series. Then in 1972, another telemovie was made titled Gidget Gets Married, in which Gidget finally married longtime boyfriend Moondoggie. Moondoggie? Mona Ellis played the title role. This incarnation of Gidget is unique in that it gives Moondoggie's real name as Jeff Stevens. In the novels, the other telemovies, and the new Gidget, he is Jeffrey H. Griffin. The middle initial is only mentioned in the first novel. Anyways, he is Jeffrey H. Griffin in the Hollywood films and the sitcom Gidget. He is Jeffrey Matthews. Later that year, Hanna-Barbera produced a 60-minute animated feature for television, Gidget Makes the Wrong Connection, with Kathy Gorey as the voice of Gidget. It was broadcast as part of the Saturday morning series, the ABC Saturday Superstar Movie, which we're spotlighting in this video, of course. In 1985, the follow-up of the 1965 sitcom series was launched with the telemovie Gidget Summer Reunion, starring Karen Richmond as a grown version of the character played by Sally Field. This was followed by a sitcom series, The New Gidget, which ran for 2 seasons in 1986 to 1988. The Banana Splits in Hocus Pocus Park is a 1972 live-action animated television film made by Hanna-Barbera, featuring the characters from the Banana Splits television series, mixing live-action sequences shot at Kingle Island Amusement Park in Cincinnati, Ohio, with animation. The film follows Banana Splits as they attempt to rescue a young girl who is kidnapped by a power-hungry witch. The Banana Splits in Hocus Pocus Park was first broadcast as an episode on the weekly program, the ABC Saturday Superstar Movie, on November 25th of 1972, and continued to air sporadically well into the 2000s via cable networks Cartoon Network and Boomerang, both of which also aired reruns of its parent series. The Banana Splits are working as tour guides at Kings Island, but find no luck in getting any customers until a girl named Susie approaches them to go on their tour. Meanwhile, a wicked witch wants to turn Susie into a witch like herself, so she uses a floating balloon to lure the girl in her animated world. When the balloon comes through a magic billboard and into the real world, Susie immediately chases after it around the park and into the billboard, with the Banana Splits going after her. Once Susie arrives, she gets captured by 2 inept wizards named Hocus and Pocus, who work for the Wicked Witch and trap her in a hat. The 2 learn about the Splits trying to find Susie and attempt to stop them from their search, but end up failing every time, mostly due to them arguing over which of them came up with the idea. Eventually, one of Hocus and Pocus's ideas get them trapped, and the Banana Splits find them and free them. Hocus and Pocus now have a change of heart and take the Splits to Susie's location, only to find that she has been kidnapped by the Wicked Witch and taken to her castle. Finally finding the witch's castle, the Splits and the wizards try many different ways to get inside and have one comical failure after another. After they finally get in, the witch tells them that in order to save Susie, they have to face off against a knight and gives them a suit of armor, so one of them will be the knight, resulting in Fleagle and Bingo being the horse and Drooper being the knight. However, they become helpless upon discovering the knight is a robot on a giant mechanical horse, which chases the trio. Eventually, Susie's able to outsmart the witch and makes the horse malfunction and throw the knight off of it, defeating it. Finally reuniting with Susie, the group uses the horse to escape and get back to the magic billboard, while they're unfortunately getting chased by the Wicked Witch. The witch uses her magic to make a wall to block the billboard, but the group jumps over the wall while the horse and the witch crash into it. The Banana Splits and Susie return to their world, say farewell to Hocus Pocus, and the Splits perform their scheduled concert at the amusement park, where they sing "Doin' the Banana Split." Yo, I added the yo. Bewitched is an American fantasy sitcom television series that originally aired for 8 seasons on ABC from September 17th, 1964 to March 25th of 1972. It is about a witch who marries an ordinary mortal man and vows to lead the life of a typical suburban housewife. The show was popular, finishing as the second-rated show in America during its debut season, staying in the top 10 for the first 3 seasons and ranking in 11th place for both seasons 4 and 5. The show continues to be seen throughout the world in syndication and on recorded media. Bewitched was created by Sol Sachs under executive producer Harry Ackerman and starred Elizabeth Montgomery as Samantha Stevens, Dick York from 1964 to 1969 as Darren Stevens, and Agnes Moorehead as Endora, Samantha's mother. Dick Sargent replaced an ailing York for the final 3 seasons from 1969 to 1972. Hanna-Barbera produced the opening and closing animation credits. Both Tabitha and Adam were the children of Samantha and Darren Stevens in the show, although they were extremely young during its run. An animated TV special made in 1972 by Hanna-Barbera Productions for the ABC Saturday Superstar movie featured teenage versions of Tabitha and Adam visiting their aunt and her family who travel with a circus. The show aired on December 2nd of 1972. So they played this short film called Luvcast, U.S.A., and it premiered on January 6th of 1973. And it says it's a mini anthology film loosely based on the 1969-74 TV series Love American Style. I can't find that short film, and all I could find is one picture. I really couldn't find any information on it at all. But let's delve a little bit into Love American Style. I remember that show. I like that show. Love American Style is an American anthology comedy television series that aired on ABC from September 29th, 1969 to January 11th of 1974. The series was produced by Paramount Television. During the 71-72 and 72-73 seasons, it was part of ABC's Friday primetime lineup that included The Brady Bunch, The Partridge Family, Room 22, and The Odd Couple. It featured some of the earliest work of future stars Diane Keaton in Love and the Pen Pals, Sally Struthers, Love and the Triangle, Albert Brooks, Love and Operational Model, and Harrison Ford, Love and the Former Marriage. Room 22 star Karen Valentine appeared in 4 episodes. Brady Bunch star Ann B. Davis and The Partridge Family star Dave Madsen each appeared in 2 episodes. Some of the show's segments also served as pilots for proposed television series. Many never made it beyond the pilot stage, but 2 resulted in a series. The first one, on February 11th, 1972, the show presented an animated segment, Love and the Old-Fashioned Father. This would become the pilot to a first-run syndicated animated series by Hanna-Barbera. I've never even freaking heard of it. Wait Till Your Father Gets Home, which debuted that fall. 2 weeks later, this I've heard of. On February 25th of 1972, the show aired a segment titled Love and the Television Set, a story about Richie Cunningham, his family and friends. The premise and characters were later used for the 1974 television series Happy Days, and the episode would later be recognized as the de facto pilot for the series. It had originally been produced as a pilot for New Family in Town, which was not picked up. For syndication, the segment was retitled Love and the Happy Days. Happy Days, in turn, launched the extensive franchise of spin-offs into the 1980s. And if I remember correctly, Fonzie was not in that episode, and then Richie had a brother who was never ever seen again for the rest of the series. Again, I couldn't find that Luvcast USA, which supposedly was loosely based on Love American Style. It existed, but that's all I can tell you. That Girl is an American television sitcom that ran on ABC from September 8th of 1966 to March 19th, 1971. It starred Marlo Thomas as the title character Anne Marie, an inspiring but only sporadically employed actress who moves from her hometown of Brewster, New York to try to make it big in New York City. Anne has to take a number of offbeat temp jobs to support herself in between her various auditions and bit parts. It was one of the first sitcoms to focus on an unmarried woman who was not a domestic or living with her parents, a forerunner of the Mary Tyler Moore Show. In 1973, Rankin Bass produced That Girl in Wonderland, an animated television special in which Marlo Thomas reprised her role of Anne. It aired as an episode of the ABC Saturday Superstar movie on January 13th of 1973, and the special also featured the voices of Patricia Bright, Dick Haymeyer, Rhoda Mann, and Ted Schwartz. Lost in Space is an American science fiction television series created and produced by Irwin Allen, which originally aired between 1965 and 1968 on CBS. Lightly dramatic, sometimes comedic in tone, the series was inspired by an 1812 Johann David Wise novel, The Swiss Family Robinson. The series follows the adventures of the Robinsons, a pioneering family of space colonists who struggle to survive in the depths of space. The show ran for 83 episodes over 3 seasons. The first season comprised 29 one-hour episodes filmed in black and white. The 29th episode, however, had a few minutes of color at the end, and season 2 and 3 were shot entirely in color. The Lost in Space animated episode aired on September 8th of 1973. Dr. Smith, voiced by Jonathan Harris, was the only character from the original program to appear in the special, along with the robot, who was named Robon and employed in flight control rather than a support activity. The spacecraft was launched vertically by rocket, and Smith was a passenger rather than a stowaway and a saboteur, though his greed, selfishness, and cowardice is the same as his live-action counterpart. The pilot for the animated Lost in Space series was not picked up as a series, and only this episode was produced. This cartoon was included in the Blu-ray release of the entire original television series on September 15th in 2015. And look at that animation. It's not good. It's not good at all. I can see why it was never picked up. The Munsters is an American sitcom about the home life of a family of benign monsters that aired from 1964 to 1966 on CBS. The series stars Fred Gwynne as Herman Munster, Frankenstein's monster, Yvonne DiCarlo as his vampire wife Lily, Al Lewis as Grandpa, Count Dracula, Beverly Owen, later replaced by Pat Priest, as their niece Marilyn, and Butch Patrick as their werewolf-like son Eddie. The family pet, named Spot, was a fire-breathing dragon. Produced by the creators of Leave It to Beaver, the series was a satire of American suburban life, the wholesome television family fare of the era, and traditional monster movies. It achieved higher Nielsen ratings than the similar The Addams Family, which aired concurrently on ABC. In 1965, The Munsters was nominated for the Golden Globe Award for Best Television Series, but lost to The Rogues. In the 21st century, it received several TV Land Award nominations, including one for Most Uninsurable Driver, which was Herman Munster. The series originally aired on Thursday at 7:30 p.m. from September 24th, 1964 to May 12th of 1966. 70 episodes were produced. The show was canceled after ratings had dropped to a series low and in face of competition from ABC's Batman. Patrick said, "I think Batman was to blame. Batman just came along and took our ratings away." However, the Munsters found a large audience in syndication. A spin-off series ensued, as well as several films, including one with a theatrical release and several more recent attempts to reboot it. The Mini-Munsters is an animated telefilm that was aired as part of the ABC Saturday Superstar movie in 1973 and was based on the characters from The Munsters. Of the original cast, only Al Lewis, Grandpa, lent his voice to the special. The cartoon begins when some gangsters are asking directions to an oil refinery. After Herman gives them directions, the gasoline company president is seen bound and gagged in the back of the gangster's car. Soon after, a messenger bat arrives from Transylvania, and the Munsters are informed their cousin Igor and Lucretia are coming to visit them. They go to the airport, where the cousins are found waiting for them on the luggage carousel. Initially, Eddie, now a teenager, wants nothing to do with his cousins, at first thinking that they are younger than him, but since they all like playing rock music, they form a band. Herman is annoyed by the music the Mini-Munsters play, so they offer to play their music at school. Since Herman has promised to buy Eddie a car, they go buy a used hearse. When Eddie asks if there is enough room in the back of the hearse for their instruments, Herman stretches it out in the back and assures them there is. They discover that the old hearse is haunted by the funeral director who owned it when he was alive. Grandpa adds an invention that allows for the car to run on music when it runs out of gas. The device becomes popular, and the gangsters who have taken over a gasoline company are infuriated. The gangster boss challenges the Munsters to a race with his sports car, which the Munsters win. It seems the faster Eddie, Lucretia, and Igor play their music, the faster the hearse travels. When they beat the gangster boss in a race at the Park Grand Prix courses, the gangsters capture the Munsters' pet dragon Spot by tricking the family into leaving their house for an award ceremony, which Herman learns was not real. The gangsters then threaten to harm Spot if Grandpa does not destroy his invention. The young Munsters find Spot and thwart the gangsters by getting Spot back. That's weird. And there you have it, gals and guys. 10 more examples of live-action TV shows that were turned into Saturday morning cartoons. And I'll be delving into more in future videos, this subject or other subjects. So look out for those very, very soon. And if you could please like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments which of these stood out to you. And I'll be searching for more to make another video just like this one. There's still more out there. It's just a matter of hunting for them. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.